Hello and welcome to Really Robin Stamps. My name is Robin Arbrecht. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Springfield, Illinois. Are you ready to create some cards together? Today's video tutorial class is going to walk you through the process of creating 15 patchwork bright and happy cards using coordinating supplies. The basic kit that I am using for this class was curated for my customers who placed a qualifying reward last month. However, you can easily create these cards using any coordinating supplies that you have on hand. So I suggest you shop your stash and find similar products that you already have and create these cards with me. Check the description box for links to my website where you will find the PDF for all these projects so you can stamp along with me, the supply list, and all the photos of the projects that we're going to make today. All right, you ready to create? Let's get started. So let's take a look at the basic kit that I sent my customers as a reward. This is what they earned. They earned 10 pre-made note cards and envelopes, a yard of glitter organdy ribbon, 15 of these beautiful iridescent pearls, and then a 3x3 square of every piece in the Brights Designer Series paper 6x6 pack. And with those basic supplies, plus a few more additional supplies, we're going to create some amazing patchwork cards that are so happy, so happy. All right, so I'm gonna walk you through this process. So let me give you a bit more getting started information so that you know exactly what you need to do this with me. So these are the note cards. They come in a package, basic white note cards and envelopes. You get 20, so this is half of the package. And the note card size, in case you want to make your own, is 5 inches wide and 7 inches long, so that when you fold them and put them together, you get a finished card size of 3.5 by 5. Okay, so you need note cards and envelopes. You're gonna need 20 3x3 squares. Now, if you don't have this Brights pack, you can pick any pattern paper that you have, double-sided pattern paper that has patterns that go together. So just find a great pack of Designer Series paper that you have and cut out 23-inch squares. This is where this comes in the Stampin' Up! Catalog. You can get this package of 6x6 paper for $12.50, and it actually has 40 sheets of 6x6. And this is the Brights family shown right here. Stampin' Up! Has 4 color collections. Here are the Brights, and I just think these colors are so happy, so that's why we're using this today. But you can also get, and what I have incorporated into my finished cards, is cardstock in all of these bright colors. You can get an assorted package of the Brights for $10, and you get 2 sheets. This is only 1 sheet of each of the colors, but you can get 2 sheets of each of these bright and happy colors. So these are the colors that I am using. And again, this is how the 6x6 paper comes, and you get 2 sheets of each color in 2 different designs, and they're double-sided, so you get lots and lots of choices. And of course you can get that in the Regals, you can get that in the Neutrals pack, and you can get that in the Soft Subtle. So these are great if you have the coordinating cardstock because you can do so much with them. Okay, so that's kind of where I got these supplies from. So grab your 3-inch squares, and then to mount these on the cards, you're going to need 10 of each of these. And so this is basic white, and again, all this information is on the PDF, so grab that. And so these are 3 by 4.5, and this is what's going to get mounted onto the front of the note cards. So it's perfectly measured to layer perfectly. And then this is just going to give it a nice little matte layer. So it is optional, but it will make the little patchwork designs that we're going to create really pop. So this is 1/8 of an inch bigger than this piece. So this is 3 1/8 by 4 5/8. So I did 10 of those and 10 of these. And then some of the greetings are going to get stamped right onto the card fronts, but then some are going to have additional little pieces. So if you want to make your cards just like mine, I've punched 3 1 3/4 inch circles and 3 2-inch circles. And of course you can do that any size of circle punches that coordinates with whatever greetings you're going to put on your cards. And then I cut 1-inch strips. I have 3 of those, and coordinating 1/2-inch strips to go with those. And we're going to be using the Banners Pick-a-Punch to create little banner ends on these strips for other greetings. Now, the cool thing about all of this paper is not only are you going to get to make 10 note cards like what I just shared with you here, but you're going to end up with some pieces left over that will be able to create 5 square patchwork squares. All right, well, there's 4. Here's 5. Okay, so these are, I'm calling these bonus cards because we're going to use just about every single piece of this. So in order to finish those off, if you want to make the bonus cards, you're going to need some squares. So this is a 3 by 3-inch square, and we've got 5 of those. And then we've got 5, actually this looks like 4, I'm gonna have to grab one more. And then we have 5 of the basic black 3 1/8 by 3 1/8. So again, it just is a small little backing layer to make that patchwork pop. And then you're going to need 5 little miniature greetings. You can make your own with paper strips and that Banners punch. I just happen to use the Stylish Shapes, these 2 dies right here to create some stitched greetings. And so those are for our bonus cards. Lastly, I'm showing you what I've used for the greetings. There's very little stamping on these cards. It's mostly paper piecing into those patchworks, but I did pull in these 2 greeting sets, Layering Leaves and Go-To Greetings, and my Tuxedo Black Memento pad. So that's what I'll be stamping my greetings with. All right, so the only other thing that you're gonna need is some way to embellish and give a little decoration to your cards. And I chose 2 punches to use that I loved because they went with this one side here that has the hearts on it. So I'm going to use the Country Bouquet punch for hearts and leaves. And then I'm going to use my very favorite bow punch for the other leaves. So let me give you a glance at all the accent pieces that I put together. Now this picture of all of these is on the PDF, so you can literally count and punch, and you can use obviously the exact same punches that I'm using, or instead of hearts, pick flowers, use any kind of greenery, leaves, but these are the colors and the amount of accent pieces that I used. So this is all on the PDF, so you can look at that and kind of just go and get these punched ahead of time. Okay. Lastly, you will need just some basic card making supplies. You're going to need a paper trimmer so that you can cut up your paper. You're going to need a bone folder for your card bases and just some scissors to help trim off some things. And then the adhesives that I am using are liquid glue to put all of the paper down, but you could obviously use a double-sided tape, dimensionals to pop up the accents, and then glue dots for the ribbon. All right. Let's do this. So one of the pages on the PDF looks like this, and it has pictures of all of these 20 pieces of designer series paper and how you cut them and which cards they go to, okay? Because again, we're talking about ultimately 15 cards. So as you can see, I've not only marked how they get cut up into squares and triangles, but the number refers to which card it's going to get put on. If there's an O or what looks like a 0 also on there, that means that you're using the other side. So when you cut this piece, you're actually using the back side of it. So some of them have O's. If you see this little piece here where it has a little, scribble on it, that means that we're not actually using this piece. So when we're all done, these are the only leftovers from all of those. And I'm sure we can come up with one more card for these, but it was very satisfying to just look and see that little pile. So those are the leftovers. So let's start cutting up the cardstock. And as we're doing this, because you see there's 15 cards, here's what I recommend. Either get little Post-it notes for piles so that as we cut these pieces, you can sort them by card, and then we're going to assemble all the cards together, and we'll have all the pieces already sorted into what card they go on. Okay, so I'm trying to keep us organized here because there's a lot of pieces. So I just marked with a Post-it on an envelope, and as we cut the pieces, I'm going to slide them into the pocket of the envelope just to kind of keep them together, because I don't have enough desk space here to have 15 separate piles. But if you do, you can just kind of spread out that way. All right, so we're going to use the paper cutter first, and we're going to just start cutting up this paper. So if you're making along with me and you have this exact kit, I'm going to just do it by colors. And so we're going to start with our Azure Afternoon, which is this gorgeous blue color. So we're going to do these two pieces first. Okay, and I'm just going to keep those right there so you can see. Now, the nice thing about working with 3-inch squares is that the measurements are all the same. So if you're cutting the square in half, the measurement's going to be 1.5 inches. If you're cutting it in a diagonal, you just line up the corners. If you're cutting a 1.5 inch piece in half, the measurement is 3/4 of an inch. So you can use your paper cutter and the ruler that's on there to do all this cutting. So the first thing we're going to do is start with this piece right here, and we're going to just cut it at 2 inches. So this one's nice and easy. And so this is the other, whoops, that's the wrong one. This is the other side. So we're going to use the stripe side. That's why I have it turned to that. I'm going to measure 2 inches and cut off. Now this piece is just going to go in your scrap pile to use later. And then this goes in envelope number 2, or pile number 2. Okay, so now let's take this piece and we're going to cut it in half at 1 inch. And ultimately, it does not matter for this particular pattern paper and probably not for any pattern paper because the pieces are going to end up being so small. Whether you cut it this way or the other way, these designs, you know, look like patchwork quilts. So it doesn't really matter which way the design is going. Okay, so I'm going to cut it in half at 1.5 inches. Okay, this one goes in card number 1. And then this piece that's left over, we're going to cut in half here at 1.5. Okay, this one, we're going to, that O means we're going to use the opposite side, and we're going to put that in with card number 3. And then this one that's left over, we're going to cut diagonally. Now on my paper trimmer, it's really easy to use this ledge right here and the groove that you cut and score on. So I'm going to just put the corner, every time I'm doing a diagonal, I'm going to put that right up against that ledge so it kind of helps me keep it straight. And then I'm going to adjust the corner so that they're both in. Let's see if you can see that. I'll just zoom in real quickly so that they're both lined up in that groove. And then I'm going to plop my blade in the middle and go up and down. So anytime you're cutting a diagonal like that, especially if your blade isn't fairly new, you want to start in the middle so that your blade doesn't come into that corner and crumple it. Okay, so these two pieces go in for card 13. So let's find that pile, that envelope, and we'll tuck that in there. All right, so if I'm going too fast, you just stop, make your cuts, take your time, put your pieces where they belong. All right, so we have Azure Afternoon all done. Let's find Pumpkin Pie. That is this gorgeous color right here. And here are my directions. So let's do the polka dot one first. We're just going to cut that into 4 squares. Easy. So again, half measurements are all 1.5 inches. So I'm just going to stack those and cut again at 1.5 so I get those 4 squares. All right, so 2 of them go in card 11. On card 11. And 1 is on card 3. Oh, I kind of like this envelope system. And 1 is on card 14. Okay, and then let's do this one here. This one, we're going to start with a diagonal cut. Again, I'm just going to make sure that's right up against that little lip on the paper trimmer, and then check my corners to make sure they're in the cutting groove. I'm going to start the blade in the middle, go up and down. So now I've got 1 here, and now we're going to cut this one into half. Cut it in half. So when you're cutting a triangle in half, do it this way so that you've got the base of the triangle against that lip, and then you've got the point in the cutting groove. Okay, and now 1 of these gets cut in half again. So we're going to do that a whole thing again. All right, so these 2 go in card 6. This large one goes in card 5. And this one goes in card 13. Oh, this is fun. This is going to be like a puzzle when we get all these pieces cut. All right, so we're done with blue. So let's do Coastal Cabana next. That's this amazing color here. Love it. So we're going to take this hash mark side and we're going to cut it in half diagonally. Okay, and then we've got that one there, and then we're going to cut this one in half this triangle. And then we're going to cut this one in half. So you're going to see as we go along, a lot of these cuts start being the same. So it's going to get easier and easier. All right, so these two go in with card number 6. This larger one goes in card number 5. And then this one goes in card number 4. Remember, those O's just mean that you're going to use the opposite side, which is going to be obvious when you look at the rest of the pictures on the PDF, because you'll see what sides are being used. All right, so now we're going to do the polka dot. We're going to cut it in half first at 1.5, and then we're going to turn this and cut this in half at 1.5. And then we're going to take this one and cut it diagonally. Like that. Okay, those two go in 13. These two smaller triangles. And the square goes in card number 3. And card number 1 for that. Okay, next we're going to do Daffodil Delight. Again, if you just get coordinating designer series paper, you're going to be surprised when you make these cuts how your pieces go together. And of course, these patterns are very flexible. So I'm showing you exactly how to make the cards as I made them, but once you look at the patchwork patterns, you can cut up your own squares and make it work for whatever colors and patterns that you have. So this one we're going to cut right in half at 1.5 inch, and we're going to turn it and we're going to cut it in half to make these squares next. Okay, and then one of those squares gets cut diagonally to make the triangles. And then this one gets cut in half. So here's the first time we're going to do a 3/4 inch cut. So if you're cutting one of the 1.5 inch squares in half, you line it up at 3/4 inch. Okay, so that's that piece that we don't need. We'll put that with our little pile, and then this one actually gets cut in half again, and this is 3/4 inch. Okay, and one of those we don't need, and then this tiny little guy gets cut in half diagonally like that. Okay, so these two little cuties go in with card 15. This one goes in card number 1, and these two go in card 9. Okay. All right. You are doing an awesome job. Keep going. Take your time, as I said. This is going to be so much fun. All right, so we're going to do this one next. We're going to cut it in half at 1.5. Okay, and then we're going to take this one and cut it in half. Okay, and then we're going to take that one and cut it in half diagonally. Like that. Okay, so these two go in for card number 6. This is card number 3. And this is card number 2. Okay, thank you, Daffodil Delight. Let's find our Berry Burst. Okay, so we're going to do the polka dots first. We're going to cut it in half diagonally. Okay, so that's that piece. Now this one is, I would say, just a little tricky because I really wanted a square out of there, but I couldn't cut half this way to get that square. So how we're gonna get this square right here is to just measure 1.5 inches this way. Okay, so we're gonna put one long end. I guess this is the right angle here of this triangle. So we're gonna put one side of the right triangle at 1.5 inches. And we're gonna cut, and then that's gonna give us this guy right here. And then we're going to turn this and do 1.5. And then that's gonna give us that guy right there. And then this one we cut in half at 3/4. Okay, so one of these little ones we don't use, put that in the other pile. These two go on card 8. This one goes on card 10. And this is on card 4. The little piles are piling up. This is getting exciting. All right, let's do this one. So we're going to cut this into 4 squares, which is 1.5 inch. Turn that. Okay, and then one of these squares, you're going to cut in half at 3/4 of an inch, and then take one of these pieces and turn it and cut it in half at 3/4 of an inch. So you're going to get little 3/4 inch squares. Okay, so these two go on card 8. This one's card number 3. This one's card 10, and that just means we're going to use the opposite side. And then one of these also goes on card 10. And then that last little square goes on card 14. Okay, thank you, Berry Burst. We can't wait to play with you. There are 2 greens in the Brights, and one is Granny Apple Green and one is Lemon Lime Twist. And so you can tell when you've got them together that which one is lighter and darker. So the one I'm going to do next is Lemon Lime Twist. That's the lighter, brighter one. So let's take the polka dots and we're going to cut it in half. Like that. And then we'll take this piece, turn it, and cut it in half. And then these all get cut into triangles diagonally. Like that. All right, so all 4 of those triangles go in pile 12 for card number 12, and then this one goes in 15. All right, so for this one we need 4 squares. So start okay. One of these is going to get cut diagonally. And then this one's one of the other ones is going to get cut in half at 3/4. And then one of those is going to get cut in half at 3/4. All right. So this piece right here is going into the extras pile, and then these are going to get put into card 10, and these are in card 11, and then one of these squares goes in card 10, and one goes in 14. Okay, we're done with lemon lime twist. Let's go with our Poppy Parade, beautiful bright red. Okay, I'm going to start with the polka dots. We're going to cut this in half first. That's this one right here. Sorry. So 1.5. Okay, and then we're going to cut this one, which is 1 inch. And then this little piece is extra. And then this one gets cut in half. All right, so card 2 for the 1 inch strip, and then we need one of each of these squares in 13 and 14. There's 14 and 13. All right, so this one gets cut into 4 squares first. And then one of the squares gets cut diagonally in both directions. So we'll do one cut first. And then we'll take each of these triangles and cut them in half this way. All right, so these all get little triangles go into card 12. All right, and 2 go into card 15. And then this one goes into card number 3. Okay. All right, let's do Granny Apple Green next. That's the darker green. All right, we'll start with the polka dots here. This one's going to get cut into 4 1.5 inch squares. Okay, and then one of those squares gets cut into 4 squares, and that measurement is again 3/4 of an inch. All right, so those all go into card number 15. Two go into card number 9. And 1 goes into card number 10. Okay, so this one's going to get cut diagonally first. Okay, and then we're going to take one of the large triangles and cut that diagonally to make those 2. And then this is kind of that funky cut again, where you're going to take one of the sides of the right angle on this triangle and measure that at 1.5, and that's going to cut off that triangle, and then turn it at 1.5 and cut that one off. And then this piece gets cut in half at 3/4 of an inch. One of these gets discarded, not discarded, but extra, and then that one gets cut into a 3/4 inch square, like that. Okay, so there are those pieces. So we've got one of these goes into card number 4, one goes into card number 13, these two go into card number 8, and one goes in 10 and one goes in 14. The tiny little guys. Okay. Hey, we're almost there. We've got 2 more sets to do. Let's do our Melon Mambo. Oops, that's not the pattern. Here's the pattern. Polka dots first. We're going to just cut it in half diagonally. And then we're going to cut one of those in half diagonally. Okay, so set card number 7. And card number 6. Okay, so this one is going to get cut into 4 squares first. That will be the easiest way. And then we'll make those diagonal cuts. Okay, so one stays a square. We'll put that one over there. And then the rest of the 3 all get cut in half diagonally. So I'm going to try to do mine all at the same time. That probably isn't smart, but I'm going to try it. They wiggled. See, not smart. Do them one at a time. Do them one at a time. I'm a little off. Okay. All right, so 2 get put into card number 9. Oh, I'm sorry, 4 of them get put into card number 9. And then 2 go into card 15. And the square goes into card 14. Okay, we're done with Melon Mambo. And last but not least, we have Flirty Flamingo. I did save these for last because now that you've had all that practice, this one is the most pieces to cut. So let's start with this one. It's not hard. It just looks like, what's happening here? But it's not hard. All right, so we're going to cut this into 4 squares first at 1.5. Okay, and we'll do them one at a time. So let's do this one first. This one's going to get cut in half at 3/4. And then we're going to cut one of those in half at 3/4. One goes into the extras pile. Okay, this one actually is a whole square. This one gets cut diagonally. And then this one gets cut diagonally twice to make 4 smaller triangles. right, so those 4 all go into card number 12. This little guy and the whole square go into 14. And then these 2 are card 7. And this one is card 10. Okay, let's do the polka dot. Again, we're going to start with our 4 squares at 1.5 inches. Okay, and let's take them one by one. So 1 stays a square. 1 gets cut in half just diagonally. So let's do that one next. Okay. 1 gets cut in half at 3/4 of an inch into a rectangle. And then one of those gets cut in half at 3/4 of an inch. And I think this is extra. I just forgot the squiggle. So we'll put that in the extra. Of course, if we need it, we've got our extras there. Okay, so those are both in card 10. All right, and then the last square to do is this one right here. So we'll cut that in half diagonally. And then this piece right here gets cut in half. Okay. That one's this one. And then this one gets cut in half. This is our tiniest triangle in all the cards. All right, so all 3 of these little triangles here get put into card 8. Okay, this one here goes into card 5. These go into card 10. These go into card 9. And card 8. All right, you did all that cutting. Fantastic. Again, you can have this piece handy while you're doing your cutting. If you're watching this first and then you're going to go back and cut later, keep the PDF next to you. All right, we are done with the paper cutter. And it is time to start assembling our cards. So take a break if you need to, get yourself a drink and a snack, and get ready to assemble. So what you're going to need for the assembly portion are these 10 pieces that are 3 by 4.5, and then the 5 pieces that are 3 inches. And you're going to need your liquid glue or your double-sided adhesive. So we're going to just take them one by one and enjoy the process of putting these together. So we're going to start easy and get complicated. How's that sound? So this is card number 1. Let's put the card over here. And then I'm just going to pull out my piles here. So if we've done this right, these pieces. See, now since I didn't write on this, I can just use these envelopes. They're just kind of a holding place. All right, so these are 1.5 inch strips, which fit perfectly across the front. So you can put these together however you want, however your patterns meet up and go together the best way. If you are a fan of adhesive sheets, one of the things that you can do is apply adhesive sheets to all of your basic white card fronts here, and then they'll all be sticky so that you don't have to use liquid glue. You can just mount these pieces right onto your adhesive sheet. The only caution with that is that you have to kind of get it laid down exactly right the first time, because like for here, I was a little crooked. But with liquid glue, you've got a few seconds to manipulate and move your paper around. So, all right, oh, like that. So use basically whatever adhesive you like to work with the most. That's going to make you the most happy. So I'm going to take the time while we're doing this to just trim off the edges in case, you know, just from, you know, slight differences in cutting. Sometimes your pieces, even though, you know, you measured, sometimes they end up being different. All right, so that is card front number 1. Let's do card front number 2. Get out our envelope for number 2. All right, so definitely arrange these any way that makes you happy. I really love this layout and these colors. This just makes me think of Disney. This makes me think of back to school, spring. Okay, so all of those get lined up like that. And then we'll just trim off anything that hung over. One of the things that you can do as an option on the card fronts that are completely covered with paper, there's going to be some that are going to leave some of the basic white showing. We're going to stamp our greetings on them. But when you have these that are covered, you can go ahead and use an embossing folder like I did on this one and emboss it. And then that really helps too if something's not lined up completely perfectly. You've got, your eye is looking at the embossing and not necessarily, it kind of just makes those little errors go away. All right, so here's card number 3. These are just squares, 1.5 inch squares. So there's 6 of them. So as you can see on this one, I kind of did wonky, but you can definitely, if you want to line them up straight, just line them up, you know, put them edge to edge like this and just make a little six patch like that. Okay, so you've really got 2 choices here, just depending on what's your preference. I'm gonna go ahead and do the wonky layout, or jumbled. These are gonna just kind of go off a little bit of the white when you jumble them. They're gonna just kind of extend a little bit just so they can fit all on there. And when I did the patterns that I picked for this particular layout, I picked 2 of each pattern, but 6 different colors. So if you're working with a different set of pattern paper, that's kind of my thought process into what I picked to put on here. I wanted 6 different colors. but I wanted some of the patterns to match. So I picked 3 patterns, if that makes sense. Okay, so you can make those wonky any way you want. Okay, so that's card number 3. Let's do card number 4. I'm going to get to our first triangles here. Okay, so these 3 triangles fit together so beautifully and then leave room for a nice greeting. So obviously, you know, if you don't want to make yours exactly like mine, just flip your pattern paper around. If you mess up on your pattern paper, just grab some cardstock and replace one of these with cardstock. So that's just going to go in one of the corners. And then this one's going to go, the long side is going to get along the edge of the card front there, and just slide that into the corner. Like that, and then this one fits perfectly right here, and it kind of creates that square. So basically this is a 3-inch square right here, just using different pieces, how we cut up like that. Okay, and just trim off anything that's hanging over. Okay, that's Berry Burst and Granny Apple Green and Coastal Cabana. Isn't that a bright, happy, but it could almost lend itself to like early fall colors. Love that. Okay, let's move on to card number 5. This is also diagonal. It's got 3 triangles. So I'm going to do this one horizontally. Let's use the bigger triangle first. Actually, these are the same size, so you could do either one first. Like that. You could leave this like this. This is really pretty. Have this little space here. You could stamp in any of these directions, but I kind of liked just with this, it created that little space, perfect for a greeting. Okay, that one looks pretty good. Okay, that's card number 5. Okay, card number 6. Also all triangles. So for this one, we're actually going to leave space in between the triangles just to try out something different. So, but we want to start with these corners and then put this one in last. So I'm going to start with these, and I picked the opposite sides here so I'd have some hearts and some hash marks. So I'm going to just line those up ahead of time so I can kind of see what I'm doing, and just make those points right there just about touch. Whoops, I put these in the wrong. Okay, well, if you have these also, and it wasn't just my fault, just put those to the side. We'll find out where those go. And then that's gonna go over there. And I'm gonna use the heart side and go over there. I just kind of liked how those patterns fit together. And then that one's gonna slide right in the middle. But I'm just gonna leave a space this time just to kind of make it more more interesting. So let's glue on. The space in between is about 1/16 of an inch. So it's just a tiny little margin. And then we'll put the larger triangle right in the middle. So I'm just looking at my little spaces in between and just making sure everything lines up. So you could make these all touch, and it would just bring in this piece, so it would look a little bit differently. So if you prefer to line them all up that way, go ahead and put them together like that. Okay, so there is card 6. Okay, card 7. Here's where it goes. So I either put them, I labeled it wrong or put them in the wrong folder. So if you have these in envelope number 6 or pile 6, they go with card number 7. Okay, so this one we're going to do opposite corners and create this little frame. And I'm going to do those first so you can see how pretty this is if you wanted to just use corners like this for triangles, how that just frames a nice little place for a focal point. Isn't that pretty? Just like that. And you could stamp a nice greeting in there or put stamp an image and color it. But I thought it was interesting to fill that gap with a triangle and then create this nice space for a greeting. So that's what I'm going to do here. That just tucks right in there. Like that. These colors are pretty together. This is Melon Mambo, Flirty Flamingo, and Pumpkin Pie. Also a really nice, like, summery color combination. All right, now we're gonna cover another one just about. This is card number 8. A lot of pieces here. So this is Berry Burst and Flamingo and Granny Apple Green. And so what you're going to do to start off this piece is you're going to do these corners first, because that's going to help you set the margins for the rest. So let's start with this one. It's like putting a puzzle together. Except if you do the cutting method, you don't have to search for the pieces. They're all right there. Okay, so we've got those corners, and now we'll do these corners. So you've got 3. This one is this in the middle. So let's do these tiny corners next. Isn't that neat? This would be a nice, you could leave it like this. So we're gonna do this one last because we don't quite know where the middle is. So let's put this one in. And now that we're gonna do these inside squares, we're gonna leave a little bit of a margin in between them. So just take this point right to the edge and then make sure these spaces here are even. And then the same thing happens here. It'll just match up perfectly. You're going to get one corner hanging off, which we're going to trim, or you can actually leave it. It doesn't look too goofy. I don't think. I kind of liked it. I almost left it. Line that one up there. Whoops. And then we have the perfect space to put in that last triangle. Now, I've been working so hard on this, I haven't had time to try this pattern with any other packs of Designer Series paper, but in my head, I am so excited to try these designs with some of the other papers, like the Countryside Inn papers and the inked botanicals with all those florals. I cannot wait to try these patchwork cards. I'm going to trim that off, and these actually you can put in your little scrap pile if you want. So there is that. Isn't that a fun way to, it looks like you just kind of have squares going off. It's really interesting. Okay, so that is card number 8. Let's go to card number 9. Again, we're going to fill this all up. So we've got lots of pieces. See how I took you from the easy to more complex. So let's put these pieces on the sides that are showing here. These I did stripes. Okay, so here's, I've just got 2 squares, and then the rest are rectangles, but they kind of come together to make squares. So essentially, it's the same layout as this one, if you didn't do it, you know, jumbled like that. But some of the squares are cut into the triangles. So let's set the corners first with these squares. So let's do it this way, and we'll put that in the corner. Again, don't worry if by your cutting or you know, my cutting, if you got one of my kits, if your papers are just a little bit off, you can overlap these pieces together. Now, so these are the square or the triangles that I cut where I tried to layer 4 together, and you can see I got these little edges here. It's not very good. It wasn't very good cut. So I'm going to just kind of trim that. And then if we get to where I use these, we'll just overlap with the other triangle. I'll show you what I mean. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is work off of the squares so that I can make sure everything is aligned. So let's use this one here. So I'm going to put that right up against here. Like that. And then one of these polka dots, yellows, is going to go here. This is one that we're going to end up using an embossing folder on to kind of quilt it. So again, if all of your triangles don't line up exactly right, it's going to be okay. Okay, so then I'm going to do this one here. And these can go in so many different ways. But the reason I picked this design, I kind of liked how this line here with this melon mambo color kind of drew your eye like that. And then the same with the yellow. And then we'll flip these. And then we'll fill in with our last flirty flamingo piece here. Okay, I like that. Of course, this little patchwork background could be going in any direction. Okay, our number 10 note card. The last note card sized is another one. We're going to fill this all up, and again, this is still basically 6 of these squares, but some of them are, cut into, instead of triangles like the last card, they're cut into rectangles and squares. So we're going to start with the corners that are solid. And so I did a granny apple green and then 2 lemon lime twists like that. So we're going to set those first. Like that. Okay, so now we're going to fill in with the smaller pieces. So we're going to layer these. So here I was just trying to work with 3 colors and kind of make those colors bounce around. The main color are the greens, but then you can kind of see I picked 3 flirty flamingo pieces and 3 of the berry burst pieces, and I kind of scattered them so that they would make visual triangles. Okay, so when you're thinking about the patterns that you're putting together, that is a consideration. It's gonna just go right there. we're going to do 2 other. Okay, I think I made another mistake because this one's supposed to be in here. This was in the scrap pile. Pull that back out. I must have not labeled that one. So these are going to go this way in the opposite direction of those. Again, it just makes it kind of interesting, like a quilt pattern when you have the shapes going in different directions. And then these are, you're going to put the 4 squares in, and I just chose to do the greens opposite corners of this little square here, and then I put the granny apple green by the lemon lime twist and vice versa. So my piece here is just a little bit smaller due to human cutting error. But again, I'm not going to panic about it because I'm going to dry emboss like I did on here, and it's going to just cover up all of that, the gaps. You won't be able to see it. Plus, we're putting the greeting there. So again, don't fret if your pieces are not lining up perfectly. Okay. All right. So again, pull this one out of your scrap pile. I accidentally put that in there. I have to just adjust my pattern. All right. Look at us. All 10 of those note cards. Let's go ahead and finish our bonus cards, and let's do our 5 3-inch squares with the last few cards, and then we will assemble these all together. Okay, so I just pulled the cards out, or the pieces, from envelope 11, and it was missing these 2 pieces, which I found in 15. So I apologize. You're going to need these 2 pieces of Melon Mambo. All right, so here is our card. So we're going to start by putting on the corners with our pumpkin pie. Okay, and then we're going to put the triangles in the opposite corners. Now I miscut these pieces, so I was leaving a gap there. Again, we're gonna emboss this one and make it look like a quilt square. So while I put these cards together on colored cardstock, I'll show you that they work on white cardstock as well and look really pretty. And you could also make this a square card since these are squares. All right, so that is card 11. And again, these pieces I found in 15. So if I misfiled mine, you might have misfiled yours as well. I'll go back and check my pattern and adjust the PDF so it'll be whatever you downloaded is actually going to be accurate. This is my test run here, so thank you for being patient. All right, so we've got 11, and let's do card number 12. Which is a pinwheel. So this is actually a kind of a quilt pattern. Using all triangles. So you're going to start with the green ones first. And you're going to go from corner to middle like this with the right angle of that triangle is going to be in the middle of each side. But you can get it centered by putting that point right in the corner. Okay, so then we're going to do this one too. So right angle is going to go to the center. We'll put the point right there in the corner, and then it's going to line up with the one we just did. Okay, right angle goes towards the center of the square. Oof. Let me move that over a little bit. Looks like my cardstock's off a little bit. I'm going to make sure those points are lined up. Okay, and then we'll do the last one. Right corner in the center. Yeah, I must have cut this one a little wonky here. Yeah, I cut this one 3 1/8 instead of 3 on this one side, so I'll have to trim that off. All right, so now we can go back in with the red pieces and make the smaller pinwheel. And these just slide in so beautifully. I did this one wrong. Hold on. This one is wrong. Can you see that? I wasn't paying attention. They should all be, the points should all be going in the same direction. So I guess a better way to explain that would be the long side, the longest edge of this red triangle should be even and up against that green piece. That's how you'll keep it straight. Like that. Isn't that pretty? You could just leave that like that, and that pinwheel really stands out, but I loved putting the little bit of extra. And so I picked the heart pattern here because it's the lightest pattern, so that, and lightest I mean like not as intense, so it doesn't take away from the pinwheel in the middle. It just kind of fills out the square. Here's the other triangle. There it is, still in the envelope. All right, I love this one. This one's so pretty. Okay, this one's going to need some trimming. Okay, now we've got our nice square. All right, so there's our pinwheel. I actually made this one a Christmas card because I thought the colors looked kind of Christmassy, but it's such a bright, happy summer card as well. Okay, our next one is number 13. So here are the pieces for number 13. You're going to start by doing the corners, and I just did opposite. Opposite corners with the colors. Like that. Again, when you take these ideas and use them in your own card making, you could stop with a design like this and just put your greeting right in the middle and use it as a diamond shape on the front of a card or a square shape, and you've got just a nice little focal point there. But we're going to make it look a little bit more like a quilt block. So we're going to stick these triangles in the middle. I love all these bright colors together. So happy. And then we'll just layer this nice happy polka dot right on top. So this is the only, I guess there's one more coming up, but where I've actually glued the triangles on top of each other, or the shapes on top of one another like that. Most everything else is just bumped up against, you know, the edges are just coming together. Okay, so there is a little quilt square number 13. And let's do 14. Okay, so this one is also just nicely, just some squares. Coming together like that. This is just squares on squares. just doing opposite patterns with polka dots and hearts. Like that. Okay, then these 4 squares are just going to connect in the middle. I'm going to put the greens opposite of each other. Just going to go right on top. And then I'm going to put since this is Fleur-de Flamingo, I'm going to put Fleur-de Flamingo over here. And then I'm going to put the, well, these are actually not the same color, but they're kind of close. This is Melon Mambo, and that is the Berry Burst. Sure these are straight-ish. All right, there's our layered squares. All right, we have one more to make. You are doing such a great job. Okay, this is our last one. So we have these pieces here. For card number 15, all right, so this one has one extra step. So I'm going to get the paper cutter back out, because these 2 pieces, this piece and these 2 pieces get actually layered together in a different way. So we're going to take these 2 squares here, and where this right here is, we're going to cut 3/4 of an inch to the center. So how you do that is you measure, mark at 3/4 of an inch, because remember that's halfway of 1 1/2, and then with your blade you're going to just cut halfway, which is 3/4 of an inch. You won't need quite all of that, but I'm just going to do that amount so you've got this happening. Okay, with these 2 pieces. And then what you're going to do is you're going to put them together. So you're going to slide one behind and one in front on that side. And then you're going to do the opposite like that. And this is actually a quilt pattern called the card trick. And it's actually made with triangles. But if you do it like that, do you see how it looks like it's called a card trick. All right, so I'm going to add other pieces to that, and it kind of takes away from that design. And really this design is supposed to be this way and not this way. So you can leave it like this if that's interesting, but just kind of remember this focal point because it's fun to do. So what you're going to do to get it straight, I recommend anyway, just take a pencil and just mark halfway on this strip at 1 1/2 inches on both sides. And then this slit, is halfway because you measured it. And so you've probably cut the slit larger than what you need, and that just makes it easier. So you want to kind of just put these on at the same time, line up that pencil mark, and then just back these apart until they meet like right there in the middle. Okay, and then we're going to just glue the tops down first. So I'm going to put a little glue here, a little glue here, and then we're going to wiggle it around till we get it straight. So I'm lining that up like that with my marks, and then I'm going to separate these until those corners meet. So I'm looking at these little pencil marks I made and making sure that line where I split it is right on there, and then I'm also looking at the center like that. And we're going to add other things to this, so it doesn't have to be exactly perfect, but you want to kind of make sure you've got the lines of the edges of the red even. Okay, so I'm going to let that dry and then go ahead and attach on the back just to secure it. Okay, again, if you love this kind of little design, you can mount it to your card front like that and just leave it. I'm going to actually just mount it right in the middle and then add some more. And mostly, I wanted to use as much of this paper as possible to make these fun cards. So okay, we're going to do that, and then these corners are going to get filled in with these darker, the Granny Apple Green squares. Okay, and then these triangles I'm going to just put in the middle here to add that little pop of yellow. Again, this could kind of be a Christmas with the red, green, yellow color combination. Could kind of be a little Christmas quilt block as well. Like that. Hope you're getting excited. It's almost time to just put these card fronts onto our cards and finish up this amazing project. Okay. Well done. All right, so the next step is we're going to do some stamping on our card bases and our card fronts. All right, so let's now work on our greetings. Again, I am using the All Occasion Greetings in Layering Leaves. I'm stamping everything with my Tuxedo Black Memento pad. So we're going to stamp on the card base, the patchwork card base for cards 4, 5, 6, and 7. So if you find those card bases here, let's start with sending hugs. For this one. And then on this one, add best wishes. Let's just line that back up. Okay. On this one, we're going to make this one a thank you card. If you don't feel comfortable stamping right on once you've done this step, just worrying about messing up like I just did and not being able to fix it, you can always add an additional white strip to these cards. And then on this one, we're going to do Thinking of You. Okay, so these four are ready to attach to their matte layers. So now let's do the greetings that go on our 1 3/4 inch circles. And those are cards 1, 2, and 3. Okay. Those are all on the same page on your PDF. You can put any fun greetings on these. Especially when you have a greeting like this, that's going to take up the whole thing. It's actually easier to do your stamping on the white cardstock first and then use your circle punch to make sure you get whatever you're stamping evenly spaced within the circle. Definitely works better to punch second. Let's do another Thinking of You because I love that greeting. Like that. And we'll do a hello. Like that. Okay. And then we'll take our strips. You have 3 different sizes, and I just made 3 different sizes because of the greetings. These are for cards 8, 9, and 10. So your strips, you may want different sizes, especially if you're not using this particular stamp set for your greetings. So you can adjust the size of these strips to whatever size greetings that you are using. Okay, so all the greetings are stamped for our 10 cards. Let's do our smaller little labels. And again, you can just make these dies, or you can just cut 1/2-inch strips and use the same banner punch that we're going to use on these. So because I'm going to do smaller greetings, I'm going to use this go-to greeting set because it has these smaller little greetings. Happy birthday. Thinking of you. Just a note. And let's see, I'm going to do actually a second thinking of you. I did Merry Christmas on one of my samples, but instead of doing that, I'm going to do another thinking of you. And then lastly, we'll do a thank you. Okay, so now all our stamping is done. Okay, so let's set those to the side. So the next step before you start layering all of these onto the card bases, you're going to take, and this is optional, you're going to take the ones that kind of have the designer series paper completely covering the front of this little card front, and you can emboss these. So I'm going to do these 5. You could do this one too, but I'm going to choose not to. And then I'm going to go ahead and emboss with all of the little quilt squares. So there's some great embossing folders that look, actually any embossing folder is going to look fabulous. I'm just going to pick a selection of different ones. This is the one that goes with the countryside floral. This is gingham. This is a crosshatch. This is a quatrefoil, and this is exposed brick. So I'm going to take some time and just emboss these. Okay, now that these are all embossed with an embossing folder, just kind of helps to give that quilted feel. We're going to attach these to the basic black matting layers. Okay, so now all these card fronts are stamped and dry embossed and layered. It's time to put them on to the note cards, to their card bases. So pause this video and get them attached to your card bases, and then we're going to add our other greetings and embellish them. All right, so now our card fronts, our little patchwork card fronts, are attached to their card bases. I chose colored card bases for these, but I wanted to show you that if you have white and you prefer to use white cardstock as your card base, these all look fantastic on white cardstock. And if you don't put the black matte layer onto them, these can all fit diagonally on a regular size card, not on a note card. The note card is smaller, but this is a 5.5 by 8.5 foot inch card base. So if you didn't put the black layer on, you could absolutely mount these as a diamond shape, and that would be very interesting too. So that's totally an option. So now what we're going to do, that we have all of these put together, is we're going to attach the greetings and our accents. So I'm going to take the banner's punch to punch the ends of these 1-inch strips. Remember, this punch works with strips that are 1 inch, 1/2 inch, and 3/4 of an inch. If you don't have this punch, you can create your own ends with your scissors. Or if you have a square punch, that works really well also. So those are the white strips, and then of course these are 1/2 inch strips, and they slide down into that smaller slot here. And we just got that one all nicely nested in there. Flip that around. I always like to check the back, make sure I have it centered. So I just cut these black strips. The measurements are on the PDF, but I cut them a little bit larger than the 1-inch white strips so that this little black banner would stick out behind. It would stick out on the edges from behind as I'm going to layer it. And remember, the black cardstock we're layering is just really helping to accent and kind of make these stand out. Okay, so the smaller one goes with hello. So very simple little greeting focal points to go with our patchwork card fronts, because they are bright and happy and interesting, and some of them very intricate, so that makes a nice balance. All right, so our greetings are all ready to go. So let's bring our accents over and we'll finish these cards. All right. We're going to need our dimensionals, our pop dots, and our ribbon. So we're going to go back and just go through the cards one by one. Okay, so here's card number 1. We're going to need a yellow large heart, and then a blue, a coastal cabana, and then a small yellow heart. And we're going to need one of our greetings. We're going to pop the greeting up. And we're going to attach the other things to the popped up greeting. So this card, obviously you can put this little greeting anywhere you want. So I'm just going to stick it in the middle for my card, and then this heart's going to slide underneath. And this one's going to hang off. Like that. And then we'll put one of our embellishments onto one of the hearts. I'm going to use one of the smaller iridescent pearls and just put it right there. Okay, and for this, so you're either going to tie a knot or you're going to just make a little fold. If you're going to tie a knot, you're going to need 3 inches. So this ribbon's going to go a long way. I just like to tie the end as I'm going instead of cutting it. And glue dots is what you need to attach. And you can stick this anywhere you want. I'm just going to stick mine right here. Okay, so now we've got a nice little sparkle on there. Okay, that's card 1. Okay, here's card 2. We're going to grab a large red heart and a blue small heart. Now I'm going to take some of these leaves. Remember, these leaves are from this Country Bouquet punch. It not only punches the hearts, but it punches these fun leaves. So I'm going to take one of each, Granny Apple Green and Lemon Lime Twist. The greeting gets popped up. I'm going to put it right here where all those pieces meet. Okay, so I'm going to attach this over here, and I'm going to attach it where this is already popped up, but then I'm going to add a dimensional on here to help support the heart. So we'll put a little glue there. Like that. And then the little blue heart will go over here. And then these fun little leaves just get tucked underneath. I'm going to take one of the larger pearls and put it on that heart right there. Okay, so I'm just going to use a little fold over of ribbon, and for that, honestly, you just need 2 inches. So I just kind of fold that over, cut it at an angle, and then I take a glue dot. So I kind of press the ribbon in half and take a glue dot and pull it up. So I've got a glue dot on the bottom. And then I'm just gonna make it like a V. You can add another glue dot in the middle if it's hard to hold it together. And then I'm gonna tuck it right in there. And it'll stay because it's underneath. So it's just kind of like a little tiny ribbon accent. It helps with that one purl. Okay, card number 2. All right, card number 3. Our last circle. I think my heart moved. I just noticed that heart is crooked. We will fix that. Okay, we'll put this here. And so for this one, we're going to take some of the Coastal Cabana greenery from the bow punch. One's going to stick over there. One's going to stick over there. Let's fix our heart. And we need the last blue heart and then a small red heart. I picked these colors because these two pieces were flipped over and they had the hearts on them, so that's why I picked the blue and the red heart. But because this has so many colors to it, you could really choose any color heart. And then we'll slide these underneath. And then again, I'm just going to use a little tiny fold of ribbon, so I'll fold it in half, leaving about an inch on each side, so it's like 2 inches, and it's just folded into a V and adding a glue dot. I'll kind of put it where those hearts are, just to kind of give it a little bit of interest. And then I'm going to use 2 of the tiny iridescent. We'll put one on each heart, like that. Okay, card number 3, done. Card number 4. We're going to use our Berry Burst heart and a Coastal Cabana smaller heart, and we're going to use 2 Granny Apple Green leaves. So we're going to pop this whole thing up here since it's not attached to a greeting. So I'm going to attach this small, let's make sure I'm in the camera here, attach the small heart to the Berry Burst heart first. And then I'm going to put a glue dot right overlapping those 2 hearts so that it supports it as it's standing up. Or as it's raised up. Like that. And then we'll attach the leaves. Those are just going to stick underneath. Like that. And again, this is a ribbon knot, which is usually about 3 inches. Just going to tie it right from the end. And use a glue dot. I do love that berry burst and that coastal cabana together. This is one of my favorites. Oops, I forgot the iridescent pearl. Right there. Okay. Okay, let's do card number 5. So we're going to need a flirty flamingo heart and a pumpkin pie heart. And then the other coastal cabana set of leaves. Again, since this isn't attached to a greeting, we're going to pop it up the same way we just did. Attach this. I'm going to attach this first since it's wouldn't these cards make a great gift set for somebody very special? Okay, let's see how this works. If you ever have trouble sticking these, the bow punch leaves underneath because of your dimensionals, just take a scissors and chop off that little bit at the end. It's going to be tucked under anyway, and it'll make it a little bit easier. Card number 6. We have a daffodil delight heart and a melon mambo. And then we're going to use 2 Coastal Cabana leaves. Okay, that one is done. We are getting there. All right, so we're going to attach some glue dot or dimensionals here. Do these all at the same time because the next cards, 8, 9, and 10, they all have these strips on them. And then the other thing with our ribbon, we're going to just put a piece of ribbon layering underneath. So I'm going to cut a piece that's about the same size as the white strip. Get that done. Okay, so let's do this one next. This is going to go right in the middle. So how I'm going to attach the ribbon is with 2 glue dots. Just stick that right onto the ribbon, and that way I can wiggle it under once I decide where I want this. Just going to wiggle it right underneath the bottom, but you could also do the top, and then those glue dots will just hold that down. And then we need a small berry burst heart and a small Flirty Flamingo. I don't know if you noticed about this heart punch, but the two rounded parts of the heart are different sizes on both the large and the small. So every time I'm layering these together, I am putting them opposite so that they look more balanced that way. So if I'm attaching this one so that the larger rounded part is to the right, then when I do this one, I'll put it so that the large rounded part is on the left, if that makes sense. Okay, so this one's going to kind of sit off here, so I'm going to use its own dimensional and put that over there. And then we have a lemon lime and a granny apple green leaf to tuck under these two. And we'll put a smaller right in between those two. I just love these colors together. They're so pretty. Okay, we've got our sending hugs. So we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to put our glue dots on the ribbon. And then slide it underneath. Grading is crooked here. Okay, let's add some granny apple green layering leaves. And our hearts. So we have Melon Mambo and Flirty Flamingo. There we go. All right, and we have our last note card here. Okay, and we have Berry Burst and Flirty Flamingo. We'll layer those. Hearts together. And then I'll pop it up on the bottom. And we have a couple of leaves. Cute. I hope you guys are enjoying this, just putting these together. It's kind of peaceful. All right, we did our 10 note cards. We're amazing. And now we'll just finish up with our bonus cards. Let's start with this one. I'm gonna layer a little tag with some greenery. I'm gonna put the greenery down first since my tag is smaller. Look how pretty those greens are together. Just love it. Lemon lime twist. We'll go ahead and pop all of these up at the same time. Okay, let's go back to our thank you. We'll get that on there and then we'll add our hearts. Well, here's our card. Let's see what we're doing here. I'm gonna take a Poppy Parade and a yellow. And these will have to be popped up as well because they're outside of the little label. Stick that one right there. And this one on top of this leaf here. But I just want a corner of it under that label. Okay. Happy little card. This is actually 15. I'm going out of order. So let's do 14. I'll just go backwards on the last 5. We're going to use a Melon Mambo heart with Flirty Flamingo. Let's get those put together. Again, you see how well, I did this one backwards. Here, let's try that again. The different size of the rounded edges are opposite. I did it wrong twice. Okay, so this one's going to be the same, but never mind. You know what I was trying to say. So this is also going to use the smaller tag. So I'm going to put this in place first along the left-hand bottom edge of this. And then this is just going to kind of accent right there. And we're going to take 2 of the Granny Apple Green leaves so that they show up out, because this is also green, we want it to show up. Okay, there we go. So I moved the leaves over here for this one. Totally flexible. And number 13, same kind of thing. We'll put the banner label on first, center that underneath here. And we're going to use our red heart and just 1 leaf. Okay, I keep saying that. I'm having fun. I hope you are too. Let's do our pinwheel next. Instead of this little tag, so the tag is just one idea. But I was keeping it with 1 set of dies for these smaller labels. So we're going to do Thinking of You, and we'll attach this little Flirty Flamingo heart. I'm actually going to put it over here as I have got a little more room to attach it. And I think I'll put a tiny little glue dot on the back to help raise this one up. And then we're going to use another set of these leaves. course, if you have ribbon left over, I have about this much ribbon left for my yard, you can go ahead and still add some little accents with the ribbon. Remember, these are bonus cards, so you can kind of think outside the box. That does not want to go there. Let's try that again. I'm gonna try not the glue dots under there were, or the dimensionals didn't want that to go underneath. So that's okay. We'll add a little bow. Okay. And last one, last last one. We've got our happy birthday Melon Mambo card. And looks like I have a couple extra little leaves left over, or one. I have one left over because this is going to use two. I'm going to stick it right in the middle and then add the leaves. Underneath. Like that. Okay, again, you can add a little ribbon accent if you want to tuck a little something underneath on the other side. Use it all up. All right, we did it. That was a lot of work, but I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope that you want to apply these patterns and designs, whether you make them all at once or not. You can use all of these little patchwork designs on card fronts. We'll just go back through them because they're so beautiful. Again, you could package them up. I have a couple templates that are perfect for holding cards to give as gifts. Look at that stack. That's delightful. Thank you so very much for taking some time to create with me. I hope that you had a nice relaxing time, and I hope you'll put this template to work for you and make lots and lots of cards. Thank you so much.